So I have a friend from England, and before I met him, he had married a woman from South America, and they'd gotten divorced after quite a number of years. And so part of my role in his life was to help him process and come to terms with and reflect on what happened in that relationship. So as he told me the story, his wife was very effusive. She was very emotive. She was very demonstrative and expressive of love. And so he thought that she loved him more than he loved her. But he's British, and they're not known for being all that expressive about love and emotions. So as he told me the story, he would say that when he had priorities, activities that he wanted to do, certain ways that he wanted to do things, when and how and why he wanted to do certain activities, at best, she might ignore him, and then toward the end, she would actually scoff at him and openly make fun of him for his priorities. And I tell you this story because it's an illustration of the topic today, which is, what is love? And in the work that I study and teach, we have an operational distinction for love, and that is, love is addressing another person's concerns as your own concerns while maintaining your identity. So with this, we see that love is an action, it's an activity. We all have concerns in life. So you might say, well, what is a concern? A concern is any action or activity that you think will enhance or maintain your existence. Anything that you want to take action for to better your life, to improve your life in some way. So we have concerns for our physical well-being, of course, food, shelter, and water. We also have concerns for our mental, emotional, and spiritual life. So you might think to yourself right now, what are some of your concerns? Maybe you have children, grandchildren, pets. Maybe you enjoy being outdoors in nature. Maybe you have hobbies that are good for relaxing or refreshing your life. Maybe you like to maintain some order in your life, eat nutritious foods, just all kinds of things that you feel improve your life, priorities that you have. So when a relationship is functional, when it's thriving, then people are acknowledging and addressing each other's concerns. They're making the other person's concerns a priority for them also in their life. So with this approach, we see that love is an activity. It's not a thing. And it involves taking some action, even if that action just means listening attentively. On our spiritual journey, a lot of times when we're just starting out or before we start on the spiritual path, we might focus on things in a thing-based world. We might be concerned about objects in a world of things. But as we progress, we begin to focus on relationships and actions, because the world is operational. What's really going on here is that there's actions in relationships. It's not really about things. And here's an illustration. I can say to you, do you have a television at home? Do you have silverware in your house? Do you have love in your home? Now, one of these things is a little different than the others. You can go to the store and you can buy the ingredients for dinner. You can't go to the store and buy the ingredients for love. Not even as much as the marketing people try to tell you that you can. It doesn't work that way. So instead of looking at love as a thing in a thing-based world, we can participate in love as an active, unfolding, ongoing activity in these relationships that we have. So when we mutually respect and acknowledge and address another person's concerns, then we're sharing our lives together. We're sharing an existence. And just know that relationships end when people stop addressing each other's concerns. When they stop acknowledging what is important to the other person. So if you're trying to maintain a relationship, then it's effective to listen to the other person and try to distinguish and determine what's important to them, what are their priorities, what are their concerns, and address the ones that you can. Now, when you no longer care about another person's concerns, just know that that relationship is dissolving. And endings can be sad, endings can be disruptive, endings can be very difficult. But again, it's not always bad or wrong to bless someone on their path and let them go. Sometimes that is what we are called to do. But we can still pray for them to have the most wonderful, effective, fulfilling life possible. So that's love. Let's talk about the opposite of love. The opposite of love is narcissism. And here's why. Because a narcissist has a very difficult time expressing, acknowledging, distinguishing the concerns of another person. Now, if they happen by chance to address somebody else's concerns, a narcissist is usually doing that for some selfish reasons. They're often doing it for what am I going to get out of it? So you can look at narcissism as the opposite of love. Now let's talk about where love exists. Where does love exist? We have two realms that we live in and embody, and one, of course, is the physical realm. We're human beings, we live in the structure of human bodies, we live in a world of objects and things, and that is one of our realms of existence. The other realm of existence, I'm going to call the being realm, the realm of being. And that is our divine nature. That is our divine self. Being you can think of as awareness of oneness, the joy of existing, the embodiment of the eternal in this realm. So when we are bringing forth whatever you call God, source, the infinite eternal, divine guidance, when you're bringing that forth, you're taking action from the realm of being, and that's where love exists. So, to be effective, for best results, we want to live in that realm of being. We want to bring forth love from that awareness, from that existence, from your divine self, and not from the ego and the personal self. We need the ego, we need the personal self to navigate this world, and that personal self is often influenced by fears and doubts and worries and anger and can I get mine and will you get yours and that kind of thing. So from the realm of being, we bring forth love. So how to bring more love into the world? How can we bring more love into this world? Let's talk about loving ourselves. To love yourself. A good way to do this is to discover concerns from the divine realm. What are the concerns of your divine self, your inner being? And maybe those concerns have to do with becoming more emotionally intelligent, more spiritually intelligent, releasing heavy baggage, completing incompletion, fulfilling your spiritual calling, partaking of your spiritual responsibilities. So there are concerns of your divine inner being, and when you bring those forth, you're loving yourself more because you're addressing those concerns. So let's take action to embody conscious light in all we do, and then we can acknowledge and address those concerns from our higher, deeper, more expansive self and reveal those in life. So loving others. How can we improve on loving others? And one way is to, instead of thinking of love as something vague and confusing and elusive, look at these operational distinctions of how does love work in relationships. And again, identify and take action to address the concerns of others within, your purview. When we allow love to emerge through us, then we're naturally bringing forth well-being. The result of love is nurturing and sustaining life and well-being. Love of all. Have you had those peak experiences where you're just in bliss, you're immersed in awe and wonder, there's nothing you would change, you feel outside of time and space, you know that you're connected with the divine oneness of all that is, those mystical experiences. In those situations, there's nothing but love. It's all love. Everything exists in love. You're in love with everyone and everything and all life, always and forever. And if we could just sustain those moments, right? Challenging, and that's okay. That's why we're here. Let's talk about healthy boundaries. Healthy boundaries. So I've said that love is addressing another person's concerns as your own concerns while maintaining your identity. So this involves learning what is yours to do and what is not yours to do. So we don't want to lose our identity in another person's concerns because that would be codependent. So we don't want to give away our sovereignty in love. Now, what if your loved one's concerns involve something that's unhealthy? What if they have an addiction? What if they are, one of their priorities you feel like really does not enhance life or nurture well-being? In that situation, consult conscience. Conscience is the storehouse of wisdom. Conscience is the summation of learning for all beings. Conscience is the access point to divine guidance. So when we consult conscience, we can ask, what can I say or do in this situation? And often it's going to involve expressing concerns using I statements and not you statements. So instead of you do this, you do that, you make me feel this way, it's I really want us to have a healthy life. You know, I really want us to be the most fulfilled, have the most fulfilling experience that we can as human beings. That kind of thing. So find your boundaries, let conscience be your guide. That's a cliched statement because it's true, let conscience be your guide. And there is a scripture in the Bible where Jesus says, if anyone will not welcome you or listen to you, leave that home or town and shake the dust off your feet. That's Matthew 10:14. That's not an excuse to leave when you should stay, but it is an acknowledgement that sometimes if there's no receptivity, maybe that's not your place. Maybe that's not your place to try and be fulfilled and do your work and express your love and light. If you're blocked, you can shake the dust off your feet, as Jesus said. So again, love involves acknowledging and addressing concerns, and instead of focusing on the world of things, we can approach love and life as this ongoing exploratory adventure, unfolding actions and activities. People are not possessions. People are not territories. People are not substitutes for what we really seek. What we really seek is that divine connection. What we really seek is that unfolding fulfillment of being all that we can be, aligned with love and light, revealing that light out into the world, and we're not going to find that in another person. So we've got to connect with our own inner source and then love from that space. So we want to give and receive love, and we can do that by focusing on actions that address what is important to sustaining life and nurturing well-being. Now I want to talk about compassion just for a little bit, just for a few minutes. Compassion is very similar to love, but we have a different operational distinction for compassion, and that is, it's the ability and the desire to articulate another person's concerns without losing your centeredness, staying centered in your own being. So it's the desire and the ability to generate another person's conversations, to state what is important to them in words and language that they can understand. So I want to talk just a minute about distinctions, because I like distinctions. When we make a distinction, we're bringing something out of the background into the foreground. When we make a distinction, you can think of it as naming something. And what we're doing is we're making it, instead of making it vague, we're bringing it into immediate presence. Here's an example. You walk up to a group of people that you don't know. You've never met any of them, it's just a group of people. When you start introducing yourselves to each other, my name is, your name is, we're making distinctions. So now you're not just a random person in a group, now you know that's Stanley, you know that's Mary Jo, whoever, right? And we make distinctions not just by naming people, but we name activities, inventions, you know, anything that we want to bring out of the background to the foreground, anything we want to bring into our immediate presence, we do that by making distinctions. So when you can make the same distinctions that another person is making, you're showing compassion. You're understanding their language. You're understanding their conversations. So that's how we do it. We be aware of and care about other people's concerns, and then we articulate those concerns from the other person's point of view. The opposite of compassion is prejudice. And here's why. Because if I'm acting from my own prejudice, then I'm not open to other people's viewpoints. I'm set in my ways, and I'm believing my beliefs, and I'm not open to understanding other people's conversations or their distinctions or their worldview or their viewpoint. So with compassion, we've talked about that compassion is being able to generate another person's conversations. And conversations don't just happen in language. They happen with gestures, with body language, music, acts of service. There's all kinds of ways we communicate besides just verbally. Sometimes compassion involves being a silent witness. We're not always called to fix things. I love to fix things. I want to fix things. That's been part of my spiritual progress. Sometimes my job is just to be the silent witness or be the compassionate presence and just reflect back to people. I understand your concerns. I understand what you're saying is. I hear this is really important to you. And I don't have to try and fix it and solve it and give you books to read and videos to watch. I can just listen to what's going on in your life. Not always easy. Yeah. Compassion does not mean getting caught up in the drama or taking it personally. I know my empathetic friends, and I'm empathetic too, but you know, some of us, we watch something and we're like, oh, I gotta get in the car and go do something. I've got to give all my money away. I've got to take some action. You know, I'm so depressed. I'm sad. You know, but compassion is being able to be that witness without getting caught up in that drama, without necessarily taking it personally. Now, of course, we want to consult conscience and do what is ours to do and take the actions that are ours to take. But again, we're not called to interfere in every problem that we see out there. So let's talk about applying this, applying compassion and love. And I want to talk about it first at the national level. And that is, you might have noticed, there's some division in politics and with leaders. And and here's why. I think because a lot of what we see happening is people are vilifying each other, they're pouncing on other people's mistakes, they're looking for opportunities to embarrass each other. And what we really want them to do is address our concerns, understand our concerns, articulate our concerns, address our concerns. Love your neighbor as yourself. And personally, I don't want politicians to fight for me. I hear that message a lot. I'm going to fight for you. I really want them to just solve some problems. I really want them to have conversations, talk to each other, be reasonable, address each other's concerns. Say, I understand this is why this is important to you, and I understand why this is important to you. How can we meet in the middle, or how can we find some path forward? How can we go to the North Star and figure out a pathway where we can progress toward that together? In organizations and families, have you ever felt out of sorts and you didn't know why? You're frustrated, you're upset, you're sad, you're angry, but you're not, I don't know why, I don't know what's going on. So again, for me, part of the spiritual process has been to be able to make these distinctions. I'm feeling sad, I'm feeling frustrated, I'm feeling angry because, and usually the because, when I go through the layers, it's some thing that I learned in childhood. Something I adopted in childhood of you're, incapable, unloved, unworthy. We're all human. We all share these experiences. So instead of a battle of wills, of, shouting matches, it would behoove us, it's effective to be able to address our concerns. To say, this is my concern, this is my priority, this is important to me, and this is why. And, I'm feeling frustrated or sad or separated or lonely or whatever, but just be able to state what is going on. And self-love. Again, for me, it's what are the concerns of my divine being and how can I prioritize that? And I know for me, sometimes I could call something self-care, but really I'm just procrastinating. Really, I'm just goofing off. So again, giving attention, giving focus, focusing on what can I do in this moment to bring forth the presence, to bring forth the love and the compassion, to allow that to emerge through me as me, instead of just, wandering around. So this is February. It's February 18th, in fact, and this is the month where all around us we see these images and symbols of hearts, and you go places and you see balloons and chocolates and flowers, and that's all beautiful and great. But what I'm asking us is, instead of just like talking about love, how can we actually improve? How can we actually be more effective at loving ourselves, loving the earth, loving each other, and loving all of existence? Thank you.